Hello and welcome to Agrestal Vestige, where we are vested in all things Agrestal. My name is Tom and I'm here with you again this week for yet again another blended Scotch whiskey review. This week we have something a little different that you don't see in a lot of stores. I come across this recently, picked up the bottle. It's the Glen Silver's blended Scotch whiskey from Highland Distillery, and it's bottled at 40% alcohol by volume. It says blended from the finest Highland malt Scotch whiskies and matured for many years in the finest oak cask. Now, doing a bit of research on this, there's several whiskeys in this, and they range in age between 3 years and 12 years. Or no, it's 3 years and 8 years as when they the whiskey is involved in this blend. Now, I couldn't find out what the ratio was of grains to malt. However, it's probably 60-40, and I say that simply by, I've had a wee bit last night and tried the flavor, and let's just see. And unfortunately, for some reason, it's got one of those what I call prophylactics in the top of it. Now, I don't know if you know what those things are. I know you've seen them in bottles, but supposedly it is for people not being able to put cheaper whiskey in the bottle. It'll come out, the valve will extend and come out. You can pour it, but you can't put any other whiskey in the bottle, so they say. Those things can be removed, however. I've removed some of them. This one seems rather difficult, but I don't like whiskey bottles with that little prophylactic in there. Just my opinion. Anyway, this whiskey, I have tried it over the last couple of nights, and I was a little bit surprised because the price point on this whiskey is around $20 to $24 euros, pounds, wherever you happen to be, from my research. And for the price point, it's a decent little whiskey. However, on the first nosing of it, the first thing you get on the nose, you do get that stereotypical signature Highland peat. Not an Isla type peat, but definitely a Highlandy type peat. And right behind that, you get the grain. There is a significant amount of grain whiskey in this. However, I think it's been aged rather well because it's not harsh. It's rather sweet. It's a sweet grain. And it has the aroma of smelling like a sweet corn that you've recently shucked, if any of you have ever done that. But it is rather rich in that. But the peat comes across initially, accompanied by the grain behind it. Now on the palate, you get the Highland peat, you get the malt flavor, it's definitely there, and you get a cereal note, kind of a sweet cereally note. Reminds me of Tony the Tiger Frosted Flakes, actually, but it's that sweet grainy type note. It is grain rich, but not in a bad way. The Highland peat is lovely in this. It has a completely different profile. However, it reminds me of the Highland peat that you get in Teacher's Highland Cream or the banknote peated version. It's quite pleasant. Now the finish, let's see. Now the finish is rather medium. It's not a long finish, and it's not abrupt. It's a medium finish. And you get these real nice spearmint notes. You get white grapes, spearmint. But also, strangely enough, and it's not a bad thing, but if any of you have ever creosoted fence post or anything like that before, you get this mild creosote type flavor in the finish. You know, kind of like you in Isla peat, you get the real medicinal, iodine-y, camphorish type notes. The Highland peat is completely different, and you don't often get it, but the real creosote type flavor in this you only get on the finish, not the nose, the arrival and palate, but in the finish you get this nice creosote kind of melding in together with the white grape and the spearmint. It sounds odd, but it's actually quite pleasant. I'm going to add a drop of water to this to see if anything happens. Again, 40%. I'm only going to add 2 milliliters. But Glen Silver's, they make a vatted malt or a blended malt version, which is all malt whiskey, 100% malt whiskey. They make a 12-year-old blend. They make a single malt version, but this is part of their core range, and it's the lower part of their core range. It's the standard blended Scotch whiskey. So, okay, after adding water, actually the water made the peat, the Highland peat profile really pop. It decreased the grain slightly, and it increased the malt. So you're getting more of a malt, less of the grain, a lot more of the Highland peat on the nose after adding the water. On the palate, yeah, that decreased the sharpness of the grain. It wasn't a real harsh, sharp, grainy note to it, but adding just a little water decreased that sharpness, and now it's really just melded together perfectly, really. The sweet spearminty type flavor that you were getting before on the finish, you now get it on the palate, along with that real cereal grain. And it's actually went from like a frosted flakes to just cornflakey type cereal, more savory. There's no bitterness to this, actually. So obviously the distillery has used decent quality cask. They haven't used second, third, and fourth fill cask. I get none of that old cask note, even though this is a younger whiskey, anywhere from 3 to 8 years, as far as the malt and the blend constituents are concerned. It didn't change the finish at all. The finish is about the same. The peat, the creosote, slightly more prominent in the finish after adding the water. If you like that sort of thing, which I do, I mean, it's gorgeous. I was very surprised with this whiskey. I'd never come across it before, and I was somewhere and I saw this bottle, and at the price point I said, I'm definitely going to try it. And I tried it, and I do like it. And if I were to give this a score out of 100, I would definitely put this as about an 87, actually, simply because I love the way they've matured the whiskey. You don't have any off notes on bad maturation. I'm fond of the Highland peat type profile, and the blending of it is quite nice, actually. So I happily give this, the Glen Silver's blended Scotch whiskey, an 87 out of 100. Anyway, let me know what you think. There's comments below. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Keep forgetting that one sometimes. And just stay tuned to my next review. I try to do these every week. If you like these or you find them helpful and beneficial, drop me a line. Let me know. Let me know if there's a whiskey out there you want me to review. Until then, this is Tom.